Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video, I will show you how to create an iOS plugin to scan documents in Godot game engine. So this is very powerful because internally it uses VisionKit. So suppose you want to scan your passport or some other document like your certificates and all that. Like iOS uses something called VisionKit. With the help of that, we can easily scan documents. We don't have to build it by ourselves, and we can scan multiple pages as well. So yeah, that's what I will be showing it to you. But in the output I will be only scanning one document for multiple pages. I'll show you the code, but you can do it by yourself. You'll have to make few changes. As usual, you would require a Mac OS and you would require Xcode installed from Apple App Store. I have already installed it. Now the first thing which you will have to do is you will have to go to this particular URL. The thing which you see inside VS Code is just a cheat sheet which I have created because it's very difficult for me to remember all the steps. And also I have created one empty folder named Godot. You can name it whatever you feel like, but the reason I have created it is because at the end of this tutorial there will be three different projects. So just to organize things a little bit better, I have created this parent folder, but yeah, it's up to you how you want to do it. So let's just open Xcode. It does take a bit of time for Xcode to open. I don't know why. Let's just wait. Also all the steps are mentioned over here inside those documents, and same steps I have written it inside my cheat sheet as well, so don't get confused. So here is our Xcode open. So all you have to do is just click on file, new, and click on package. Let's just wait. Here select multi-platform, select library, click next, and here you can give it whatever name you feel like. I'll just give it as my library. If you're doing this for the very first time, it's better you follow what I'm doing, but because this name will be used in lot other places as well, that's why. Then inside our Godot folder, I'll just create this my library. Next is we need to copy this bit of code. Again, this is specified in the documentation as well. So if you just scroll down, here you can see they have specified this. So just come to Xcode. Inside your package.swift file, you just have to paste this line of code and just do command S, and it will download the dependencies of Swift Godot with the help of Swift package manager automatically for you, so we don't have to worry too much about it. Then we have to add this platform iOS version 17. So again, I'll just scroll down. Here they have given this it for Mac OS, but we require it for iOS. Minimum version I have kept it as 17 because I was facing issues on lower versions. That's why I think Swift Godot does not support it. I could be wrong. You can check on that. And here we have to then add this type dynamic as well. So here you can see inside library they have added this type dynamic. Then we have to add this dependencies block as well. So again, I'll just copy this, and if I just scroll down here, you can see they have added this dependencies block. So I will just add it over here. Okay, again, I'll just improve the indentation a little bit. You don't have to do it. Then we just have to go to again, one more thing is, at the time of me recording this video, Swift Godot does not support Swift version 6 and above. Swift version 6 introduces a lot of breaking changes like concurrency and all that stuff, but the code which we will write will not have any effect on Swift version 6 or whether you use below Swift version 6, but still Swift Godot relies on lower version of Swift. That's why I have to change it over here as well to 5.10 instead of 6.0. But you should check the Swift Godot repository whether it supports Swift version 6 or not. Then we just have to go to my library. Okay, then what I'll do is I'll just cheat a little bit. I have already written code for this in my practice project, so I'll just copy it from there. So I'll just copy all this code and then I'll explain it to you. So here so first inside my library I have to import UIKit, then I have to import Swift Godot, then I have to import VisionKit as well. Then here I have created one separate class of this VN document camera view controller delegate. You can't directly extend this to this main library class which I have created below, unfortunately, and I have annotated with @main actor, so it runs on main thread. Here I have created few callbacks like on finish with scan, on cancel, and on fail with error. and here we are overriding few methods like document camera view controller did finish with scan, and once it is scanned we just call this callback. This is for cancel and this is for on fail with error. This is boilerplate code which you have to write for Swift Godot. Again, this should be your own library name, and here we have created the class. We have also annotated this with @Godot because we need to access this from GD script side. Then here we are like extending ref counted. Here we have created one signal as well, which will help us to send data from iOS from native iOS side to Expo React native side. Then here we have created this document camera delegate as well, like in instantiating this particular class. Then here we are overriding this init. For this is how we initialize init for this ref counted thing, and on the main thread we just set up our delegates in both these methods. And if you see the setup delegates, we just keep looking for this on finish with scan callback, and here we get hold of our root view controller and we just dismiss the camera view controller which is running, and here you will get the scan document. So here you can see you are getting an array, but in my case I will only scan one document. So once I have the image which has been scanned, then I'm just saving it to some temporary storage. Then we are sending the URI of that temporary storage back to Godot side. Now if you're storing a list of images, then you will constantly get this signals on Godot side. So it's your job to store it somewhere on the Godot side, like in an array or something like that. But like I said, I'm only scanning one image. So yeah. And then in case of cancel, again we are just dismissing it and we are sending a signal saying document scanning cancel. Now I'm using the same signal, which could be tricky, so it's better you create a different signal in case of error, but just to keep this tutorial simple, I'm using same signal. Okay, and here is on fail with error. Again we are sending a signal like an error signal and dismissing this method will get called from our GD script side. So here again we get hold of our root view controller, and then we just initialize this VN document camera view controller which is from VisionKIt, which we have imported at the top. And then we just set the delegate and just present the root view controller. Basically opens a camera and starts scanning, and this is a helper method which I have created which will help us to store the image inside a documents directory. So basically once we have the UI image, we convert it to PNG data, write the file to the appropriate file URL, and just return the file URL path back to that particular method, which will help us to emit the signal back to GD script side. Okay, so I think that should be it. Now we need to create a build.sh file. So for that, what I'll do, I'll just close my cheat sheet for a second. I'll go back to the Godot folder and I'll open the parent Godot folder in VS Code. So if you want, you can create this build.sh file from Xcode as well. I'm not comfortable doing that. That's why I'm using VS Code. Make sure you use, like, you can use whatever IDE you feel like. Like, yeah, it's up to you. So here I'll just create one file called build.sh. Okay, and I will just copy this URL. I'll paste it over here because we need to copy some code, lots of code. So I'll just copy this entire code and I'll just put it inside the build.sh file. The only change which we need to make is go at the top of the file, and here we'll have to write it as my library. And once that is done, add the skip macro validation as well. Make sure there are no extra spaces. So here you will have to add the skip macro validation. Okay, then I'll just close this as well. Now we can just cd to my library inside our terminal, and firstly you will have to run this command. Then we need to run this command. Now I'm not planning to deploy this app to Apple App Store, so I can just generate the debug framework. But if you're planning to do that, you will have to generate the release framework as well. So you will have to just replace the word debug with release. But for now, debug is fine for me. Now this will take a little bit of time. So in the meantime, we can just open Godot game engine. At the time of recording this, I'm using Godot 4.3.0, but I think there won't be any breaking changes as such in future versions of Godot. So first here you just have to browse to the Godot folder which we have created, and I will just name it as my Godot project. You can name it whatever you feel like, and I'll click on create and edit. Then I will just go to project export, add iOS, click on fix import. Then make sure you enter your App Store team ID. To get your App Store team ID, you can go to this particular URL over here, which will guide you on how to get your App Store team ID from your own Apple account. I won't go into that. I'll enter my App Store team ID later on, but it's important you enter it now only, otherwise you won't be able to export your project. Then scroll down, and here you have to enter your bundle identifier. It is typically like com dot your company name dot your app name. I'll keep things simple. Then I'll just close this. I'll just press enter. I'll close this. I'll create a 2D scene. I'll add one button to start scanning, and I will add one texture rect to display the scanned image as well. I'll just open this, something like this. Okay, then here I will just add one texture rect as well. So I'll just do this something like this. You can add some text over button, maybe scan. I'll save this. I'll save it. I'll just run this quickly so that our root scene is selected. Otherwise you will get issues later on if you try to export it. Then I will attach one script to this as well. Okay, now again I'll just cheat a little. I'll copy some code which I have already written. Just open it in VS Code. So first I will create a variable for our library initialization. Then I will just drag and drop this texture rect as well. Then for the button I will add this press signal as well. Okay, then again I'll just copy some code. So here basically this is the code for initialization of our library. Again, this should be your own library name as well as over here, and this is our signal. So if you have named your signal differently, you will have to change it over here as well. And we'll have to create this method to keep looking for that signal whenever we get the data. So here you can see I have created a method for that as well. So here is our signal, here is our method, and here we create an image, and if the image is loaded properly, then we create an image texture and assign a texture to our texture rect. So yeah, that's how we are displaying our image. And on our button click, we just do like scan our open, like call the scan method which we have defined. So that's what we are doing over here. Now we need to create one bin folder as well. So just go to your Godot project. You can do this from Godot game engine as well. So I'll just create one bin folder, and again I'll just close this. And here we need to create one file called whatever is your library name .gd extension. So I'll just create that file inside the bin folder. Now if you try to open this from the Godot game engine, it doesn't open. I don't know why. So that's why I'm using VS Code. Now inside this my library.gd extension, you have to write this bit of code. So I'll just copy this and I'll paste it over here. Now again, if you are generating release, you will have to replace debug with release over here as well as over here. Rest everything remains the same. Then one more thing which I will do is, inside our Godot folder, I'll create one folder called iOS. You can name this whatever you feel like. It's just that when we export the project from Godot game engine, it will create a lot of files for us. Also, if you go to our terminal, it has built successfully. So go to your library, go to bin, go to iOS, and copy these two .framework folders. Then we can just go back to our Godot project game engine project and go to your bin folder and just paste it over here. Then again come back to our Godot game engine. Alright, the next thing is just go to project, export, export project, go to the iOS folder over here and just click on save. Now this will take again a little bit of time to export the project, so just be patient. Alright guys, so as you can see, the project was exported successfully. Then you just need to go to the iOS folder which is present and double click on this .xcode proj file. It will automatically open it for you in Xcode. Now once the file is opened, you will have to run this on a real device, so you can just click on this run icon. But one more thing which you have to clarify is inside the supporting files, inside this my Godot project -info, you will have to open it as source code, And here make sure you have this ns camera usage description permission. Inside the string you can add anything, like why you require this camera permission, but make sure you have this permission. At least for Godot 4.3.0 this is present by default, but this might change in future. That's why I'm warning you guys. Now here I have just found one sample document, like passport. Again, I don't know this person, so I'll just click on scan, and I have already granted this camera permission. That's why it is not asking for me again, but it might ask you for again, depend, like it might ask you if you are doing this for the very first time. I'll just try to scan it. It will automatically capture it for me. So here you can see it has automatically captured it, and it has also saved it at the bottom. And now I can just click on this save button, and here you can see I'm able to see. Now you can just resize the texture act however you feel like. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.